Hey, how you doing? Happy Mayday, everyone. Happy Beltane. I'm just going to give it a minute, get some more people to join. So I appreciate that. We had a bit of a problem this morning. Got everything set up, good to go live. Was going to go out, listen to the first sort of like bird chorus of the morning, just as the sun was rising. Um, and then it decided it was going to bucket down with rain. So I thought I'll keep it till like midday. It'll be great. And we've had nothing but intermittent, heavy rain showers all day long. So give it a couple of minutes for others to join. How's everyone doing? Everyone doing good? Everyone staying safe? Everyone staying well? Everyone staying social distanced? There is no child here, so today I shall be vaping. How you been?
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
We have Philip Blair and Bee Gees. That's just commented.
Hey, hey, hey.
Saying hey.
It's not going to be like an uber long stream or anything like that. I'm just gonna kind of put out there basically what today is, what today means. I know like there was a little bit of interest as to what it means. I mean, the history of it goes back. It's who we are, especially like the kind of Indo-European area. It's who we are. It's our tribal roots. It goes back that far. Although obviously as the years have gone on, it's changed and been swapped about and stuff. But we'll get into the sort of like principles of that and bits and pieces in a moment. Sarah's today. She woke up that beautiful.
If only. 9/11 joined. Hey there.
Hello there. I know. Vaping, drinking.
Drinking tea and coffee. Keep us going.
Yeah. We normally have like many other sort of like personal family traditions we do today. Um, again, because the weather's sort of like dealt us a bit of a weird one. Um, we kind of got to alter what we do, how we do it, and stuff. So, right, how long have we been going?
3 minutes.
3 minutes. We're 5 minute mark, and then I shall begin, folks.
Dougie, will you stop that? Get off me, stupid.
Good to see you. Paranormal live last night. BG's, Phil. Even if Smoke King accidentally did time you out, which was quite amusing from my part anyway.
Dougie's going all stupid.
Dougie,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
Stupid.
You've had all morning to do it, and you decide as soon as we go live, you're gonna. Oh, hello, he's gonna try and dive on the computer now. Dougie, Dougie.
Hey, Bee Gees. Yeah, the healing is still continuing. Not doing too bad actually. The scarring has actually healed. There's still some lumpage going on, which is a bit uncomfortable. But I suppose them having to do multiple operations 2 weeks apart was a bit of an intrusion. But yeah, it's I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. I'm getting there. Getting back to just trying to do normal things. So thank you for asking. Thank you, Nine. Thank you. So yeah, slowly getting there. Able to do a little bit more every day. Just trying not to do too much and ruin everything that's been done for me. But
Just baby steps in it.
it is baby steps because it exacerbates all my other conditions as well, which really doesn't help. So yeah, the mobility is not as great. Obviously, not being able to get out and exercise as much as I did. Yeah, the joints are a little bit stiff and not great, but hey ho, getting there slowly.
How long does it take for the internal tissues to be able to repair themselves?
Oh, a couple of years, because it although they heal from the inside out with the drain that I had on, it still takes a hell of a lot.
It's getting a bit warm in it.
It is getting very warm. It does take
Put the fan on.
a hell of a lot of time for everything to heal properly. So never mind. We're getting there. We're getting there. But yeah, thank you for your well wishes. So I read every single one of them. Absolutely amazing. Thank you.
You had more than enough time to read them over and over again.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yep.
Good to go.
Yep. 6 minutes. So go
6 minutes to still counting.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Right. So today, Mayday, Beltane. That's mostly celebrated sort of like Scotland, Ireland, but Mayday is the British, rather the English version of it. It's kind of the midway point between spring and summer. Got the wheel of the calendar in the pagan religion, which is kind of broken down. So where we are now, it kind of represents it's more fertility and it's more kind of a celebration of the feminine with regards to things growing. Like today, for instance, it's tradition that you have a stew. So you end up clearing out all of your old winter foods that you had stored to make way for all the new, fresh kind of like greenery and bits and pieces for you to fill up your kitchen larder, etc. With, as I say, the tradition of it goes back basically the dawn of time in sort of like the European Isles. Um, every kind of village, tribe had their own way of celebrating it. I mean, there's still certain ones that happen in the UK now. I mean, if you take the town of Padstow down in Cornwall, the village is broken down into two parts. You had the original Padstow people that lived there, and if you went there, I think, trying to think how many years it was up until recent times, really. If you went there and no, sorry, it was about 100 years ago. If you went there and you weren't from there, then you'd be thrown out. It got violent. And then you had the people that moved in, got acquainted, and then what they've done was they split the town in half. So you'd have the blue half and the red half. Red half would go one way, blue half would go the other. And they'd have their own sort of like rivalry celebration. So yeah, what was it? The red half were not. They would dance around the church, and the blue half would go in. The red half was kind of wouldn't go in demonstration because during the Reformation of the monasteries, churches, and things like that, this tradition was stopped. It was not allowed. It was pagan. It was the work of the devil. Blah blah blah. And then the laws against it were relaxed when King Charles II came to power. People were allowed to celebrate again in the way that they wanted to, within obviously reason. That was all good. Well, we'd been celebrating it since the dawn of time. Once kind of the Romans come over and started invading and kind of bringing Christianity, there were certain bits and pieces that they also adopted within it. So they actually had May Day as one of their own celebrations. So The Mayday Beltane honours life. It represents the peak of the spring and the beginning of the summer. Earth energies are at the strongest and most active. All of life is bursting with potent fertility, and at this point of the wheel of the year, the potential becomes conception. On May Eve, the sexuality of life and the earth is at its peak. So, a lot of the shops, pubs within the towns. Last night, I mean, it's a 24-hour cycle, so it'd be from the last day of April into the 1st of May. Both of the days would be celebrated. So the last day of April, all the young'uns and that would go out into the woods and they would collect greenery to paint all the shop doorways, pubs, houses, but also have themselves a little bit of a frolicking time at the same. So they'd go out overnight, collect all this greenery and fornicate, play about, do whatever you want to do, and bring it back in the morning, and then they'd celebrate May Day. So abundant fertility on all levels is the central theme. The maiden goddess has reached her fullness. She is the manifestation of growth and renewal. Flora, the goddess of spring, the May Queen, the May Bride. The young Oak King, as Jack in the Green, as the Green Man, falls in love with her and wins her hand. Sorry, bear with me a second. Lost my place. The union is consummated and the May Queen becomes pregnant. Together, the May Queen and the May King are symbols of the sacred marriage, or Hieros Gamos, the union of earth and the sky. So we've got the May Queen, which represents the land, Mother Earth, and then you've got the Oak King, which represents the sky. The union of the earth and the sky, and this union has merrily been reenacted by humans throughout the centuries. The May Queen embodies purity, strength, the potential for growth. She is the personification of the energy of the earth. The Green Man represents the life that grows on earth. They cannot exist without each other. So there we go. That's where we're at so far. Any questions or anything?
No. Bee Gees was asking what year it was, but obviously years are better.
Yeah, well, it goes back
Generations.
I mean, it goes back, yeah, absolutely. It goes back tribal, Celtic, way before even the Romans, Brooke. So, I mean, like the Celts honoured the fertility of the gods with gifts and offerings, sometimes including animal and human sacrifice. Cattle were driven through the smoke of the balefires and blessed with health and fertility for the coming year. In Ireland, the fires of Tara were the first ones lit every year at Beltane, and all other fires were lit with a flame from Tara. The Romans, always known for celebrating holidays in a big way, spent the first day of May paying tribute to their lares, the gods of their household. They also celebrated Florilia, or Festival of Flowers, which consisted of 3 days of unbridled sexual activity.
Yeah, Philip Blair says when his grandma was little, they collected flowers in May baskets.
Yeah, absolutely. There's many traditions like that. I mean, I've still got. I mean, last year's Mayday flowers down in the kitchen, which are meant to be burnt in a little fire tonight. Now we've got a problem there because we're in lockdown. The fire, we're not allowed to have fires. We're not allowed to have bonfires, which is a bit of a bummer because bonfires are a big part of the Beltane celebration. It's about that. It's about fertility. It's about fire. It's about new life. You know, it's a major part. So somehow we're going to have to improvise. I don't know how we're going to do that. Probably find a way of doing it. Let Mika cook. Set fire to it.
Maybe not.
Find them out there in the toaster, pushing flowers down and stuff.
Not a good idea. Mika, don't do that, please.
So participants wore flowers. Going back to the Roman celebration, participants wore flowers in their hair, much like Mayday celebrants later on. Sarah did have flowers in her hair.
I did.
Oh, oh.
I did. But it messed my hair up.
And there were plays, songs, and dances. At the end of the festivities, animals were set loose inside the Circus Maximus, and beans were scattered around to ensure fertility. The fire festival of Bonadea was also celebrated on May the 2nd. This celebration, held at Bonadea's temple in the Aventine Hill, was a festival of women, mostly plebeian, who served as priestesses and sacrificed a sow in the fertility goddess's honor. Um, the Greek and Plantaria. So that's why it's such a wide-ranging thing. It's not just to the British Isles. Again, everyone has their own way of celebrating. Um, Greeks, Romans. I mean, the Norwegians, the Scandinavians. I mean, they do it so well. I mean, when you look at the history of like a lot of the Swedish Mayday celebrations and things like that, they're pretty mega. They are pretty big, although they do tend to celebrate it more towards the summer solstice rather than the May Day as we do. Um, there'll be lots of places celebrating May Day, probably not this year, on like the 4th or the 7th rather than the 1st. The 1st is the day. The 4th or the 7th were kind of done more as a kind of a Christian thing or a capitalist thing. So that's the only reason that they've been moved from the 1st, which it should be. So also in May, the Greeks celebrated the Plinteria in honor of Athena, the goddess of wisdom and battle, and the patroness of the city of Athens, which was named after her. The Plinteria includes the ritual cleansing of Athena's statue, along with feasting and prayers in the Pantheon. Although this was a fairly minor festival, it was significant to the people of Athens. Women performed the task of cleansing the statue, which was hidden behind a large cloth so that no one could see it during the sacred time. On the 24th, homage is paid to the Greek moon goddess Artemis, goddess of the hunt and of the wild animals. Artemis is a lunar goddess equivalent to the Roman moon goddess Diana. She is also identified with Luna and Hecate. Um, so the pagan martyr, let's go Scandinavian. May the 6th is the day of Evin Kelda or Evin Kelve in Norse celebrations. So, genocide, if you're watching this bit's for you, mate. In Norse celebrations, Evin Kelda was a Norwegian martyr who was tortured and drowned on the orders of King Olaf for refusing to give up his pagan beliefs. According to the tales of all my life, Heimskringla, Heimskringla, the Chronicle of the Kings of Norway, one of the best known Norse sagas compiled by Snorri Sturluson around 1230 CE. Olaf announced that once he had converted to Christianity, everyone else in his country needed to be baptized as well. Eyvind, who was believed to be a powerful sorcerer, managed to escape Olaf's troops and make his way to an island, along with other men who continued to believe in the old gods. Unfortunately, Olaf and his army happened to arrive there at the same time. Although Eyvind tried to protect his men with magic, once the mists and fog cleared, they were exposed and captured by Olaf's soldiers. A week later, Norwegians celebrate the festival of the Midnight Sun, which pays tribute to the Norse sun goddess. The festival marks the beginning of 10 straight weeks without darkness. Today, the celebration of music, art, and nature is a popular spring celebration. A number of pre-Christian figures are associated with the month of May and subsequently Beltane. The entity known as the Green Man, which we'll talk about a little bit more in a bit, strongly related to Cernunnos, is often found in the legends and lore of the British Isles and is a masculine face covered in leaves and shrubbery.
And we've got the Green Man behind you as well.
Yep. I don't know if you can see that there. In some parts of England, a green man is carried through a town in a wicker cage, and the townsfolk welcome the beginning of summer. Impressions of the green man's face can be found in ornamentation of many Europe's older cathedrals, despite edicts from local bishops forbidding stonemasons from including such pagan imagery. A related character is Jack in the Green, a spirit of the greenwood. References to Jack appear in British literature dating back as far as the late 16th century. Sir James Fraser associates the figure with mummers and the celebration of the life force of trees. Jack in the Green was seen even in the Victorian era, where he was associated with soot-faced chimney sweeps. At this time, Jack was framed in a structure of wicker and covered with leaves and surrounded by Morris dancers. Some scholars suggest that Jack may have. Oh, hello, where's he gone? I did have these all in place. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Where's it all gone?
We're trying to find that.
Yep.
We've got a couple more people join.
Okay.
Obviously, we've not been able to do the flowers.
Yep.
Somebody did suggest, it was Philip.
Yep.
How about a nice barbecue with last year's flowers as charcoal? But obviously, we've got the stew tonight. Yep. So yeah, we've also got Sidvich that has joined.
Sidvich.
Maggie, enjoy being. They win another stream. Obviously, there's a few people
streaming.
Cool. Sidvich says we're not allowed by the heathen Christians to live by a Viking good. By Viking God.
Yep.
Viking good. I'm not sure which one that's meant to be, Sidvich. Sorry, you put good. I think that's God.
Sidvich, you're in Norway, aren't you?
That's right, yeah. We were pretty much the last European country to follow the Bible's tales. But they have actually put flags out. Okay. Where is it?
Is it any special kind of flags or anything like that? Because
hang on. I'm trying to find there's so many people. Yeah, Sidvich, we have Flag Day, Go Norway, and yet I have raised it today with a huge black poem flag.
Goodbye.
Man.
I say, for today, we've got beef stew cooking at the moment, so we're kind of getting rid of all the old winter food. I would normally be out in the garden, giving the lawn a good cut, pruning, and doing other bits and pieces. I would have been out first thing this morning, listening to the bird song and any sort of flowers from the first thing in the morning. I would have been taking a couple of those for obviously the flower basket, but as it decided to hammer down, that was a bit of a
no-go.
Yeah, it was a total no-go. And it's at the moment, we've got serious dark clouds everywhere. So, but I'll get out there and I'll see what I can find in a bit.
Yeah, Sidvich said that no, they fly the Norwegian flags today and all the shops are closed.
See, that's cool because that's red and white, which are colours associated with Mayday, Beltane.
Why I am in red and have white.
Right. I shall carry on. There may be a couple of bits here that you've already heard, but obviously we've got people joining late, so I'd rather go over it again than not go over it and people to miss out. Right, so where have we got so far? So Beltane honours the life. It represents the peak of spring, beginning of summer. Earth energies at their strongest and most active. As I said earlier, this is a very, very feminine celebration.
Go with me.
Yeah, girl power. So all life is bursting with potent fertility, and at this point, the wheel of the year, the potential becomes conception. So Robin, Eagle Song, if you're here, don't go out the house, all right, otherwise you could be mauled. So, abundant fertility on all levels is the central theme. The maiden goddess has reached her fullness. She is the manifestation of growth and renewal. Flora, the goddess of spring, the May Queen, the May Bride, the young Oak King as Jack in the Green, as the Green Man falls in love with her, wins her hand.
Sorry, Sid Richards asked, can they share a link to one of the childhood friends who does Viking music? He's really good.
Hell yeah.
Let me see if I can get. Let me see if I can make it. Are you actually a mod on YouTube? Because if you are, you can do it instantly. If not, then I can see if I can make you a mod. That's something. Let's see if I can do
I think she's
that. The Green Man can also be found on temples in India, which is part of the
yeah.
Indic lore.
It's I mean, no one actually knows per se who the Green Man is. It's a modern mystery. Most places of worship have a Green Man in the stonemasonry somewhere. We have one in Canterbury Cathedral by where we are. We also have depictions of I think someone being ridden as well as a bit of a fu to like the church at the time for not paying the bills to the stonemasons. So, but yeah, I've got a couple of books. I can't think of the authors at the moment on the Green Man mystery, how it spread all over the place, all over the world, in all of these places. So, yeah, it's interesting.
Right. Sorry, I'm a little
No,
bit
no, that's
slow
cool.
at this.
It's cool.
I realised. Yeah, carry on.
Yeah,
I'm trying to. Yeah, I realised what I've done wrong. I'm in the wrong account.
sorry, no worries. So, yeah, she's the manifestation of growth, renewal. Flora, the goddess of spring, the May Queen, the May Bride, the young Oak King, as Jack in the Green, as the Green Man. Ta-da! Falls in love with her and wins her hand. The union is consummated, and the May Queen becomes pregnant. Together, the May Queen and the May King are symbols of the sacred marriage of Hieros Gamos, the union of earth and the sky. And this union has merrily and been reenacted by humans throughout the centuries. The May Queen embodies purity, strength, and the potential for growth. She is the personification of energy of the earth. The Green Man represents the life that grows on earth, and they cannot exist without each other. A bit like me and you, really.
Yeah.
When the Horn God of the Windsor aspect of the Green Man sees the May Queen in her maiden form, he realizes that to be with the woman he loves, he will need to undergo a huge change. So there you go. The woman is at her most sort of like potent at the moment, and it's also a time for men to reflect on change. So take that from that. As they process together around the hill, he prepares to surrender his life to her. She then gives him life energy and brings him back in his new form as the Green Man so they can be together. For this is the night of the Greenwood marriage. It is about sexuality and sensuality, passion, vitality, and joy, and about conception. A brilliant moment in the wheel of the year to bring ideas, hopes, and dreams into action and also have a bit of fun.
Yeah, he's posted.
All good?
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got anything.
Sid Rich is. I had to make him a moderator. So I do
No,
apologise,
no,
Sid Rich.
that's cool. It's all cool.
So you're now a moderator on the channel.
Okay. So anything else in the chat room?
Uh,
So it'd be interesting. So because we've got such a wide ranging audience, um, I'd like to know if wherever you are in the world, I know like we've got people representing America, Australia, Norway, other part. how do you celebrate today? If so, how do you celebrate it? I know, like in recent years, it's become linked to communism, but it's not about that. It's about the traditions, who we are, and what we are. Sure.
No, not at the moment. He's like I say, he's just posted, and Maggie, I am not a granny.
Maggie's well, I don't know. Mika says that she's a grandster,
She's a grandster. Yeah,
gangster grandma,
that's right. He does.
grandster. Yeah, both her and Robin have
The grandster mod.
the
Yeah.
the, the grandster names. Okay. So if we look at the Celtic side of it, Beltane is the fire festival. The word Beltane originates from the Celtic god Bel, meaning the bright one, and the Gaelic word Ting, meaning fire. Together they make bright fire or goodly fire. And traditionally, bonfires were lit in honor of the sun to encourage the support of Bel and the sun's light to nurture the emerging future harvest to protect the community. Hello, are we back?
Jimmy has a frozen member. Unmute yourself.
Hello, can I be heard? Am I still there?
Yeah. There we go. You've done that.
Okay, are we back?
Yep, we're all good now.
Fantastic.
I would say the weather's a bit bad, so sorry about that. It seemed, I don't know if mine went as well or if it was just Jim, but we seem okay.
Okay, so where were we again? So traditions of the Beltane Fire Festival. Word Beltane originates from the Celtic god Bel, meaning the bright one, and the Gaelic word teen, meaning fire. Together they make bright fire or godly fire. Traditionally, bonfires were lit to honor the sun and encourage the support of the bell and the sun's light to nurture the emerging future harvest and protect the community. Bell had to be won over through the human effort. Traditionally, all fires in the community were put out, and a special fire was kindled for Beltane. This was the Tainine, um, Tainogan, sorry, the need fire. People jumped to the fire to purify, cleanse, and bring fertility. Couples jumped to the fire together to pledge themselves to each other. Cattle and other animals were driven through the smoke as a protection from disease and to bring fertility. At the end of the evening, the villagers would take some of the Tainingen to start their fires anew from sacred celebrations.
Nine says in Denmark it was a Christian holiday, but now it's all about socialism and workers taking the day off to demonstrate. It's called Workers' Rights Day.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the other aspect of it. I believe that there are certain places where sort of like Labor Day is kind of celebrated on today, which is kind of what it's not really about.
Take care, Sidwich.
Sidvich gone.
Yeah, they've got to go.
See you later, Sidvich. Have a great day, my man.
Uh, Philip says, I thought the communists were the Reds. I would guess Green Man would be the Green Party.
You're close. I'm getting to the representation of the colours anyway. So, but there's definitely no mention of communism or Green Party there. So another thing which is a tradition of Mayday is hand fasting, which is kind of the pagan marriage ceremony per se. Um, Genocide, why aren't you here? Because you'd be able to come on and explain to us your hand fasting ceremony. So it's basically being read the rituals, having your hand tied together with, I believe it's red ribbon. So, as Beltane is the great wedding of the goddess and the god, it is a popular time for pagan weddings or hand fasting, a traditional betrothal for a year and a day, after which the couple would either choose to stay together or part without recrimination. Today, the length of the commitment is a matter of choice for the couple and can often be for life. Hand fasting ceremonies are often unique to the couple, but include common elements, most importantly, an exchange of vows and rings or a token of their choice. The act of hand fasting always invokes tying the hands, hand fasting, tying the knot. So the old phrase, tying the knot for getting married, obviously it stems all the way back from pagan day. Of the two people involved, in a figure of eight at some point in the ceremony and later unbinding. This is done with a red cord or red ribbon. Tying the hands together symbolizes that the two people have come together, and the untying means that they remain together of their own free will. Another common element is jumping the broomstick. This goes back to a time when two people who could not afford a church ceremony or want one would be accepted into the community as a married couple if they literally jumped over a broomstick laid on the floor. The broom marked a threshold, moving from an old life to a new one. Mead and cakes are often shared in communion as part of the ceremony. Mead is known as the brew of the divine, made from honey, which is appropriate for the love ceremony, and the oldest alcoholic drink known to humankind. Going a Maying. Hand fasting or not, both young and old went a Maying. Couples spent the night in the woods and fields, made love, and brought back armfuls of their first May or hawthorn blossoms to decorate their homes and barns. Hawthorn was never brought into the home except at Beltane. At other times, it was considered unlucky. Young women gathered the dew to wash their faces, made flower crowns, and made baskets to give as gifts. Everyone was free to enact the sacred marriage of the goddess and god, and there was accepted tradition of Beltane babies arriving 9 months later. So a lot of the time, when we talk about Beltane Mayday, one of the main sort of like prominent things that we think of is the maypole dancers, um, Morris dances in the UK. I don't know if it's kind of abroad. You have a variation of Morris dances, but the old traditional pagan dances as they were back when. Um, we still have them in the UK now. In fact, it's sort of this time of the year they're in really great demand for certain festivals, street parties, and other celebrations because there's a lot of them about in the UK still, which is really cool because it's kind of nice to know that this part of the tradition hasn't died. It's still alive, it's still well, and it's still pretty groovy. Um, and I mean, there's sort of like films. Um, I mean, Wicker Man, obviously. We always watch The Wicker Man with dinner on May Day. Again, there's a scene there where they're doing the maypole, dancing about. Um, I mean, the maypole, the maypole represents the penis. It's a very phallic symbol with everyone dancing around, hoping to get pregnant from it, etc., as well as using it as a celebratory piece. Predominantly, the maypole was made from birch, um, which birch is like the feminine tree. It really, really is. It's pretty to look at. It's just a beautiful tree. So a lot of the maypoles back in the day were birch trees. So let's go into a bit of maypole history. So the maypole is a popular and familiar image of the Mayday and Beltane, a phallic pole often made from birch, which was inserted into the earth, representing the potency of the god. The ring of flowers at the top of the maypole represents the fertile goddess. Its, its many coloured ribbons and the ensuing weaving dance symbolizes the spiral of life and the union of the goddess and the god, and the union between earth, sky, and fertility. So the colours of Beltane are green, red, and white or silver. Green represents growth, abundance, and fertility, not the Green Party, Phil. Red represents strength, vitality, passion, and vibrancy, not communism, Phil. And white slash silver represents cleansing and clearing and the power to disperse negative energy.
And like Maggie said, that the women that went round it, they did have to be virgins back then.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Which is what the white represents as well. The white, cleaning, cleansing, virginity, purity. Yeah, absolutely, Maggie. Yeah. And again, it's still true now. I mean, um,
Yeah, Philip, that's true. Birch is feminine, pole is masculine. That's a very confusing pole.
absolutely, absolutely. But it's confident. It's happy with what it is. It just grows wherever it wants. So grows where it goes. There's a fantastic video that we watched from a guy that I like on YouTube, and he does all pagan stuff. And it's a channel called Survive the Jive, and he does a fantastic video of the Padstow Mayday celebration parade. Um, I'll see if I can link it underneath the show description, because it's one which is really, really worth a watch, and it kind of embodies how we do things. Um, as I say, during the Reformation of the churches and stuff, there was no celebration. There was no Mayday celebration. During the First World War as well, there was no Mayday celebrations. So it's had its breaks. It's kind of come back, but you celebrate it how you want to celebrate it. How it I mean, for us, yeah, everything is family for us. We are family. So everything we do, we'll do as a family today. We have certain days in the year which kind of matter to us. For example, summer solstice. Solstice is important to us. Um, Obviously, because we have child Christmas. It has to be, but that's a whole different kettle of fish for another day, right? Anything?
I've got bug in now.
Yep. Right. So let's have a look through here.
Yeah.
What we've got. Yep. Right. So ancient symbols and modern rites. Today's pagans celebrate Beltane much like their ancestors did. Beltane ritual usually involves lots of fertility symbols, including the obviously phallic maypole dance. The maypole is a tall pole decorated with flowers, hanging ribbons. In some Wiccan traditions, Beltane is a day in which the May Queen and the Queen of the Winter battle one another for supremacy. In this rite, borrowed from the practices on the Isle of Man, each queen has a band of supporters. On the morning of May the 1st, the two companies battle it out, ultimately trying to win victory for their queen. If the May Queen is captured by her enemies, she must be ransomed before her followers can get her back. There are some who believe Beltane is a time for the fairies. The appearance of flowers around this time of year heralds the beginning of summer and shows us that the Fae are hard at work. In early folklore, to enter the realm of the fairies is a dangerous step, and yet the more helpful deeds of the Fae should always be acknowledged and appreciated. If you believe in fairies, Beltane is a good time to leave out food and other treats for them in your garden or backyard. For many contemporary pagans, Beltane is a time for planting and sowing seeds. Again, the fertility theme appears. The buds and flowers of early May bring to mind the endless cycle of birth, growth, death, and rebirth that we see in the earth. Certain trees are associated with Mayday, such as ash, oak, and hawthorn. In Norse legend, the god Odin hung from an ash tree for 9 days, and it later became known as the World Tree.
Okay, yes, but the first weekend in May, it's celebrated in the UK, and we have Mayday, which is the first bank holiday of May. So May, we have the first Monday off. Is classed as a bank holiday in the UK, so it's Mayday. So although we celebrate it ourselves first, it's usually the first Monday of the month. So yeah, that's how we celebrate it over here.
That was for Christian and capitalist
Yeah. So
interests.
basically it was almost like a whole weekend, wasn't it? It was Friday to Monday. And then it was celebrated over the weekend, and then obviously then there's the bank holiday Monday that's
Absolutely. So if you've been wanting to bring abundance and fertility of any sort into your life, whether you're looking to conceive a child, enjoy fruitfulness in your career or creative endeavors, or just see your garden bloom, Beltane is the perfect time for magical workings related to any type of prosperity. So that's where we're at so far, folks. I've got many prayers and blessings and things like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to handpick a couple of them.
Gary, it's Mayday, 1st of May. But Gazget, our next door but one neighbour.
Mika's godfather is in the house.
And Jeff said Led Zeppelin mentioned the May Queen in Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Vargas said Beltane is one of his favourite songs by Incubus Succubus.
Yep. Right.
There we go.
Can you remember where the Wheel of the Year is?
No.
Wait a minute a second. Keep talking, Sarah. Keep talking.
Seriously? Why are you trying and find something now?
Why not?
So now he disappears. Okay. Well, that was quick.
That's what she said.
I know. It's 4:55 a.m. in Washington, so Jonaside's probably sleeping.
Does he sleep?
Or does he just hang upside down in the corner?
That's what I heard.
Yeah, maybe.
I did hear that. Right, so there is a representation of the pagan Wheel of the Year. Let's try and get it a little bit more.
There.
There we go. And that's where we are at the moment. So summer solstice is down here. Ostara is up here. So we're getting there. We're slowly getting there. So yeah, so Mayday is steeped in history, traditional roots, and it's a part of who we are. Celebration of beautiful green, lush. I mean, I'm looking out the window. I've got miles and miles and miles of countryside trees and stuff like that. I appreciate some of you don't have that sight, um, but it's kind of who we are. All good.
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
Don't make me have to go full David Wilcock on you. Say something.
I'll say something to you in a minute.
Say something. I'm giving up on you. Um. Right. So let's have a look. I'm just going to go through. Ah. Okay. So as it's representation of the May Queen and the Horn God. So let's go with Cernunnos. Is a horned god found in Celtic mythology. Is connected with male animals, particularly the stag in Rut, and this has led him to be associated with fertility and vegetation. Depictions of Cernunnos are found in many parts of the British Isles and Western Europe. He's often portrayed with a beard and a wild, shaggy hair. He is, after all, the Lord of the Forest.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Gary, for that. So, God of the Green, Lord of the Forest, I offer you my sacrifice. I ask for your blessing. You are the man in the trees, the green man of the woods, who brings life to the dawning spring. You are a deer in rut, mighty horned one, who roams the autumn woods in hunter, circling round the oak. The antlers of the wild stag, the lifeblood that spills upon the ground each season. God of the green, Lord of the forest, I offer my sacrifice. I ask for your blessing. So that would have been spoken first thing this morning. The Beltane season is a time to celebrate the fertility of the earth, whether you honor the masculine aspects of the gods or the sacred feminine of the goddesses. This simple prayer offers thanks to the archetype of the Earth Mother for her bounty and blessings. So, Great Earth Mother, we give you praise today. We ask for your blessing upon us. As seeds spring forth and grass grows green, and winds blow gently, and the rivers flow, and the sun shines down upon our land. We offer thanks to you for your blessings and your gifts of each life spring. And a prayer to honor the May Queen. The May Queen is Flora, the goddess of the flowers, and the young, blushing bride and the princess of the Fae. She is Lady Marian in the Robin Hood tales and Guinevere in the Arthurian cycle. She is the embodiment of the maiden of the Mother of Earth in all of her fertile glory. Make an offering to a floral crown or to a libation of honey and milk to the Queen of the May during your Beltane prayers. The leaves are budding across the land on the ash and oak hawthorn trees. Magic rises around us in the forest, and the hedges are filled with laughter and love. Dear lady, we offer you a gift, a gathering of flowers picked by our hands, woven in the circle of endless life, the bright colors of nature herself. Blend together to honor you, Queen of Spring, as we give you honor this day. Spring is here, the land is fertile, ready to offer up gifts in your name. We pay you tribute, Our Lady, daughter of the Fae, and ask your blessings this Beltane. So, one to finish off with will be, these are the prayers. I've got a couple of poems to go after, and then we out of here, unless you have any questions. So this one would be a traditional prayer to protect the herds and the flocks. In the Celtic lands, Beltane was a time of fire symbolism. Herds were driven between large blazes and a way to protect them and guarantee for the coming year. You may not have cattle or livestock, but you can offer this prayer to protect your pets or animals. We light the fires of Beltane, sending smoke up to the sky. The flames purify and protect, marking the turn of the wheel of the year. Keep our animals safe and strong. Keep our land safe and strong. Keep those who would protect them safe and strong. May the light and heat of this fire bestow life upon the herd.
BG says he loves learning about this, so thanks.
Bee Gees? She.
Six.
It's Brooke.
Yeah, I'm getting confused on who I'm talking about because I've also got Dex say someone said about being once, twice removed as family, and Dex has asked about being. What does that mean that if you're related now or not? You're once, twice removed in family, but yeah, a bit of a different conversation going on in the chat room.
Who's been removed?
No one's been removed.
We'll adopt you. We'll adopt anyone.
Yeah, we adopt anyone and everyone.
We don't.
Don't be Dex. There's proof. Sorry, Dex.
She's not sorry, old Dex. Nice to see you anyway, mate. Nice to have you about. Nice to be able to do something where everyone can get involved and stuff like that. I mean, we can go on, we can stream, we can talk about different bits and pieces. I mean,
oh, there we go. It was about Gasket because obviously Gary's godfather to be.
Yeah.
But their cousins once removed. And then obviously Dex has asked about being removed. So I put once removed, not twice.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a bit of a different conversation going on. Much love to you, Jimmy. It means you're a different generation, older or younger.
What's that? Being removed?
Being removed.
I don't know.
Who knows? Families are difficult. Best of times.
Absolutely, and it's not always flesh and blood that are family.
No, absolutely not.
You find sort of like some of those will be the people that hurt you the most. I'll just leave that one there.
I would. Otherwise, there'll be a murder online.
Right, okay, so let's get into just a couple of poems. It's nothing heavy, nothing too wacky or out there. Right, so open with just once. Okay, so Beltane blessings. Fire blend and firelight. I celebrate Beltane this warm spring night. This is the time of the most fertile earth, the greening of the land, the new rebirth. Fire and passion, the labour's toil. Life grows anew out of the soil. Ah, it's not moving. Okay, so blessed be this day of Beltane, wedding day of the goddess and the god. Holy day of sacred marriage, holy night of sacred marriage. The fertile goddess of summer, the land, with the great horned god of the forest, and the dark time of winter is behind me. And last one. Friends that in the circle stand, heart to heart, hand to hand, bringing Beltane to the land, let the sleeper awake. Let the flames of Beltane burn, may the old ones now return. May we and their magic learn, let the sleeper awake. Let the streams and fields be pure, earth and sky be clean once more. Love and laughter long endure, let the sleeper awake. Forests spreading, peace returning, where the pagan fires are a burning. Now the inner light discerning, let the sleeper awake. May the lady's touch again rest upon the barren plain. With the sunshine and the rain, let the sleeper awake. Excuse me. Nope. Beltane magic, here we sing. Chant the rune and dance the ring. Joy and blessings shall it bring. Let the sleeper awake. So there's a couple of traditional poems.
And Jeff says it sounds really good and authentic when it's recited by the British, with our British accents.
I thought we only normally done movie villains. So there you go. That's our our Beltane stream for the year. We haven't done one before because there was never kind of any real kind of interest out there. I thought we'd do something a little different this year. I'm kind of gutted that we couldn't go for the whole experience of being up for the morning dawn bird chorus as the sun rises. As I say, I was good to go, but sadly the weather wasn't. So, but I'm glad we've managed to have this time with each other, spread a little knowledge, have a little bit of fun, and
it's been a better time for a lot of people around the world as well, which is
yeah, absolutely.
bonus.
What time is it out in Australia? Dex, Brooke,
So BG's
give us a time check, everyone.
9:37. And obviously I've 8:07 in Australia. BG says, I know I've had tea, but I'd go for a bowl of stew.
Mate, you want to smell this one that's cooking at them? Dex, did you have one of our stews when you were here?
No, I think you did. I done a spag bowl, didn't I?
And traditional fish and chips in
And
paper. Fish
yeah.
and chips in paper.
That's right. So, yeah. Yeah, thanks, Mika. We know what time it is here. Philip Blair, it's 5:09 a.m.
Where are you, Philip? You Hawaii.
Enjoy being 12:09 Saturday a.m.
You're New Zealand, aren't you?
Yeah. Jeff, 8:45.
Where are you, Jeff?
It was only fish and chips and cake. Jeff said, I thought I'd done spag bowl as well.
Oh yeah, the cake. The cake. Which is also another one of the traditions of today. I know, like in Christianity, because today is a celebration of the feminine and the bit where the women are kind of the most potent, fertile, and kind of at the peak of where they should be every year. It used to be a Christianity thing that no guy should really marry a woman on the 1st of May because it would signify nothing but trouble and him constantly being under the thumb for the rest of the marriage. So, I mean, from my own personal experience, don't get married any day of the week because you're going to end up under the thumb anyway.
Too bloody right.
That's why I wear a hat. I've got a thumb indentation right there. And the swollen ears as well. You know, they're not actually big. They're not actually big. I get this one pulled from Sarah and I get that one chewed off by Mika. So if Pat Breeze watches this later on, which I'm sure he probably will, that's the reason my ears are big. Okay. Anyone else got anything else to add before we end the stream? How are you? Anyone else going to celebrate Mayday today? Anyone feel inspired by this to do anything? Because there are a multitude of things that you can do. Absolutely. You've got the Beltane blessing candle that you can make. All you need is some red ribbon, a tea light candle, and you kind of have a Beltane meditational period with it. You've got I can't think of the name of it. The charm egg. So basically, like you used to do at school, you used to kind of blow the egg out and then decorate it yourself, string it, and then you'd keep that until next year, and then do the same again. Make cakes, paint in pretty colours, write poetry. There's a million and one different things that you can do to celebrate your Beltane. I mean, like for us, to say mine's normally a bit of gardening, then we have a stew, and then later on this evening we sit down and we all watch The Wicker Man.
Jeff says he's going to retranslate some UMO documents.
UMO.
There you go. Did you cover the bells tied around the knees? Enjoy being.
No, I haven't. I haven't. I'm not overly familiar with that. That's more of the Morris dance kind of tradition, isn't it?
Guess you would ask now, wouldn't you? Just gonna take Amy for a walk. Does Dad want to go?
Probably not. It's not into the rain, is he?
He
I don't know.
hates the rain.
So come and enjoy being. Fill us in on that one because we're here. We are learning. I've covered the hand fasting and all of that.
And Dougie is currently
Asleep.
there.
He hasn't got Wilson the duck with him.
Phillips asked, "Who is Morris?" Is enjoy being? Is that the hijacking of the tradition by the Morrises?
Very distinct possibility. Very distinct. I'm gonna have to do some research on that one because I'm not overly familiar with the bells tradition of the Morris dance. You know, as far as I know, it's just a traditional dance that used to be done for celebration of fertility, etc. So
Yeah, totally. When it stops raining, goes. Obviously, when I'm not on stream, I have to go and open the door for you.
yeah, Gary.
Just
Right, okay, so if that's it then.
enjoy being. I just remember there was Morris dancing troops in my hometown, and they always used to do the dance with a maypole on Mayday. It's very true. Yeah,
Yeah,
Morris dancers
yeah,
are a big
absolutely.
thing of it.
It's tradition. It's as I was saying earlier. I mean, there's every city, town, or anything in the UK that's having any kind of May Day celebration, there will be Morris dancers, 100%. Um, and it's not predominantly old men. You know, it used to be. The amount of young people um, that now are involved in doing it, fantastic. You know, it's nice to see that traditions are being kept going on, and things like that. It's yeah, it's very very cool.
Yeah, and they wore white and had bells on their knees, but
Yep.
I know nothing more than that. But yeah, white is the purity.
Which one of the colours, isn't it?
It
The
is,
red,
and
the
obviously the
green,
men
the
were.
white.
They'd have the red scarves,
Yep.
and obviously, can we start Morris dancing if you want to, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, the bells. I'm not sure what the bells actually represented, or whether it was to
Let's have a look. Let's have
see
a,
if you can find
yeah, let's
something
have a
on
look
it.
while we're here. As I say, this is why we do this, so we can learn, share knowledge.
It is great to hear these things from alive. I mean, I always remember going every year to go and see different um, festivities that were going on um, around us with my parents and my siblings, and we'd always go and watch them. Some sash around the waist too, as I recall. Yes, I think the sash wasn't it taken to actually um, help with the May Queen? Is it to bind her up?
What's going on here? I don't know. I mean, you can go back to sort of like the old traditions of like the hobby horse.
Yeah, the hobby horse. If the hobby horse actually touched a woman, it was to help with fertility.
It was if a lot of the old traditional ones used to have chimneys set underneath them.
Yeah, and that would actually signify that they would be touched by the hobby horse, and that's how it
Yeah, would be
yeah.
fertility. One of the things used to be if you used to be able to get hold of the hobby horse hair, or old os as it's known, you could wrap it around your wrist and you would keep it for a year. Sorry, bear with me, folks. I'm getting there slowly. This internet on this thing, because it's old, isn't good. I think I need to buy myself a new tablet.
Um,
Okay, so let's go through a history of the Morris dancing. So the Morris, as with many folk customs, the origins are hidden in the mists of time and coloured by later perceptions, which may or may not have been correct. It's possible that the word Morris is derived from the word Moorish or Morisco, a derogatory term meaning little Moors. Certainly, in the very late Middle Ages, Morris dancers were sometimes referred to as Morisco dancers, but it is pretty certain that, whatever the origin of the word, there is no evidence that the dance came from the Moors or entered the country with the armies of John Gaunt or anything of that sort. Neither is there proof of any connection between Moorish dancing and Morris dancing. According to Professor Hawkins, have we got a name on that? Alan Hawkins, spelled Alun. When people recorded these customs in the 1890s, they were obsessed with seeking out ancient beginnings. In the 7th century, there had been suggestions of a connection with Moorish dancing, and it was adopted as a convenient theory. It fitted in, for example, because some dancers blacked up their faces and attached bells to their legs, which was believed to be something to do with North Africa. Similarly, there is little evidence that Morris dancing has any connection with a pagan festival, other than many societies across the world celebrate calendar events with dance customs. What we do know, though, is that Morris dancing has a long recorded history in this country, the earliest reference being from 1448. One origin of this form of dance probably originated in the European courts of the 15th century. Around then, a form of dance typically called by names like Maury's dance was common as court entertainment. This may have been the dance form going by names like Morisco on the continent. The dancers wore colourful, fairly elaborate costumes with pendant sleeves and attached bells. Very little is known about the dancers per se, though there seems to have been two types, a solo dance and a dance in a circle around a maiden, who could have been a man in a woman's clothing who favours the dancers compete. By the early 16th century, Morris dancing had become a fixture of church festivals in medieval and Renaissance England. The churches brewed and sold ales, including wassail. These ales were sold for many occasions, both seasonal and sacramental. There were christening ales, brides ales, clerk wake, and Whitsun ales, and were an important means of funding churches. Later in the century, the Morris became attached to village fetes and the Mayday revels. Shakespeare says, as fit as a Morris for the Mayday, and a Whitsun Morris dance. William Kemp danced solo Morris from London to Norwich in 1600. That's a long way. Morris dancing was popular in Tudor times. However, under Cromwell, it fell out of favour and was actively discouraged by many Puritans. The ales were suppressed by the Puritan authorities in the 17th century, and when some reappeared in the late 17th and early 18th centuries, they usually had associated dancing. By the mid-18th century in the South Midlands region, Morris dancing was a fixture of the Whitsun ales. Morris dancing was now in the hands of common folk who couldn't afford the fancy costumes of a couple of centuries earlier, and they were resorting to ordinary clothing decorated with ribbons and flowers. There was a separate variety of Morris called Bedlam Morris, being done in a swath from the Welsh border counties through Warwickshire, Northamptonshire, down to Buckinghamshire. The Bedlam Morris seems to have been mainly or exclusively done with sticks. Whether this Bedlam Morris had an alternative origin, we can't say.
Right, it was also done with handkerchiefs as well as
that's
sticks.
right. Yep. I don't know whether or not that'd be. I don't know. So if they're saying there's two different types, one being the Bedlam, We've got one last sentence on this. During the 19th century, Morris dancing declined rapidly. New forms of entertainment, rapid social change, and its association with the older, unfashionable culture were all contributing factors. For various reasons, church ales with Whitsun ales survived quite late in the southwest Midlands. Most of the Cotswold Morris tradition comes from this region, and many of the Cotswold Morris sides gave dances to Cecil Sharp and other collectors, which formed the basis of the dance revival in the early 20th century. As well as the Cotswold dancers, other regional versions of the Morris also survived long enough to be collected. These included Border Morris from the Welsh border counties of Shropshire, Hertfordshire, and Worcestershire, Northwest from Lancashire and Cheshire, and Molly dancing from East Anglia. In the north of England, long sword dancing was collected from Yorkshire and rapper sword from the northeast. It was widely believed that in other regional varieties of the dance had been forgotten and lost. New evidence has recently been unearthed of lost Morris in other areas of the country, and that is what Rattle Jag are all about. So let's see if we can find anything else. Ba-da-bum-bum-bum. Okay, yes, Morris dancing was well known in England before the Spanish adopted it. So this is, yeah, full European. You found anything?
So the Morris, as with many folk customs, the origins are hidden in the mist of time and coloured by later perceptions, which may or may not have been correct. It's possible the word Morris. Is that the same one you've got there?
Yeah. Why don't we check out Wikipedia? Okay.
From what I can see of the Morris dancers wearing bells, it fitted in. For example, some dancers blacked up their faces and attached bells to their legs, which was believed to be something to do with North America. In the early 16th century, Morris
Africa.
dance, yeah, Africa, sorry, century, the Morris dances have become a fixture of church festivals.
Okay. Something else I found today. There are 6 predominant styles of Morris dancing and different dances or traditions within each style named after the region. You've got the Cotswold Morris, um, Northwest Morris, Border Morris, longsword dancing, rapper Morris, Molly dancing, plough stops. So still looking for you folks. Music. Music was traditionally provided by either a pipe and tabor or a fiddle. These are still used today, but the most common instrument is the melodeon. Accordions and concertinas are also common. No, can't find anything else to help you out there. Enjoy being. Oh, let's have a look at the University of Oxford. Bell pad worn on the knee. Those that have no idea. So these are the kind of strips of bells that worn on the knee. There's probably people there. Why? So these are the earliest Morris dancers bell pads acquired by the museum. Acquired Gloucester, about whom nothing more is known. This pair of bell pads came from Finstock one of the major dancing centres in the Morris stronghold of the Witchwood Forest, which also brew Hobgoblin beer, which I used to be a massive, massive fan of. And if you're able to get it anywhere, check out Hobgoblin beer. No.
Very strange.
Yep, can't find anything. So I'm
Just seemed
assuming.
to fit in with like the music that was played.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. No, I'll go with that as well. So yeah, maybe it was a regional thing. Maybe it was just something that was brought in to kind of add a little panache to it, a little Shazam. We all like a little Shazam.
We do.
Okay, anything else?
No, that's there's been no questions as far as I can see. Um,
Okay, right. So we'll wrap it.
uh,
If you're looking for any movies tonight, to carry on the Mayday tradition, obviously you have the original Wicker Man, and also a really good film that I discovered, I think it was last year, which was Midsummer. And that's kind of more of a summer solstice kind of film that is set in a very, very weird pagan kind of setting over in Sweden. A group of American college students go over for one of their traditional celebrations, and like the Wicker Man, it don't end too well for them.
yeah, we've always watched that,
So,
and we've always had like a stew going. Like I say, I put the stew in the slow cooker yesterday afternoon, so it's been cooking on a low heat all yesterday afternoon, last night, and today, and it'll be eaten around about 4 o'clock tonight with a fresh uncut loaf. So that'll be
big
cut.
bits of bread,
Yeah,
lashings of butter.
that's it. We cut it ourselves, and it's big doorstep bits we use. And yeah, it's absolutely great. And we don't use, traditional bowls. We use proper bowls, as in bowls that you'd usually associate with cooking. You know,
Huge.
mixed in bowls. We use them. That's the kind of bowls we use. So it's a big bowl of stew.
No, don't
All
stop
sit
until
down.
one of us explodes.
That's it. Yeah, yeah.
Right, okay, so that was it. That was our Mayday stream. I'm really sorry I couldn't bring it to you this morning, but obviously the weather's playing a big part in today, so that wasn't possible. Hope you've enjoyed our time that we've had with each other today. Um,
And learn something
yeah,
new,
learning,
hopefully.
sharing culture, and maybe you'll go on to do something later on today, which is streams inspired you to do, or something you want to get involved or whatever. Let us know. Drop us a message after the stream. You've got us on social media. Um, so yeah, just drop us a message after the stream, and we can reach out to you with some ideas and other bits and pieces for today if you want to get involved. So from me, thank you very much. Have a lovely, lovely, lovely May Day, and may you be fertile and potent.
Happy Beltane.
Have a good one. See you later, folks.
Take care, everyone. Stay safe.